What's good, everybody? It's a PosCon back for week 6 of 2K Modding Weekly, and as promised, I'm presenting to you guys paid mods this week, but with a caveat. I'm going to explain to you what paid mods you actually need, what situations you need them in, and what free tools you could use in their place. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you here is selection screen images by DashShot88. Now, it's important to note that I don't have Xpacker, but I'm able to use his selection screen replacers simply by installing the pack files the same way you would for texture updates. The only caveat is that you're stuck with the selection screen images that he's replaced. He's replaced Retro Batista with Goldberg. He's replaced Retro CM Punk with Scott Steiner. He's replaced Retro Y2J with Finn Balor. And he's replaced Retro Randy Orton with Samoa Joe. So if you don't use any of those mods, you're still going to have your selection screens replaced by them. And if you do use those mods, you're going to have to figure out how to hex edit those modded characters in over top of those retro characters. It's pretty easy, but you should know that's what you're going to have to do if you want to use these selection screen images. Also, if you want to do your own custom selection screen images, that does require Xpacker. There's no free way to repack those texture files in a way to inject them into the game. So if you want to make your own selection screen images, you need Xpacker. There's no way around it. Up next, I'm going to focus on those specific mods that are intended to be injected via Xpacker through the community DLC. And I'm going to explain to you how you can install them using nothing more than renaming and hex editing. The first, of course, is Tekken's Goldberg. Now, you can use Xpacker and install it as a community DLC, which isn't going to replace another character. Or if you want them to match up with the selection screen image by DashShot88, you simply need to rename Goldberg to Retro de Batista's pack number, which you can find. I'm going to link you to a sheet that has the full length of pack numbers in it. And then you need to get the hex editing program, HXD. It's the best one to use for 2K. And I'm going to link you to a tutorial here on how to edit to change the hex number to match Retro de Batista's number. It's actually really, really easy. The harder part is, as you've seen on my selection screen, switching the names. That's a pain in the ass in Hex. That's much easier in Xpacker, but it can be done in Hex. Up next, also, another mod by Tekken, his Scott Steiner mod. And Scott Steiner, like I said, he replaces Retro CM Punk, so you can hex edit him in the same way as Goldberg. Or, if you'd rather have it the simple way, you can get Xpacker and you can use him as community DLC. Now, there's benefits to either. If you add him as a replacer, you're going to get a selection screen image, which, with community DLC, thus far, we haven't been able to figure out how to add renders. But with replacers, we can add in renders. But it should be noted once again, if you want to add in your own custom renders and not the renders pre-done by DashShot88, you're going to need Xpacker to do that. And obviously Photoshop. Up next, we have Samoa Joe by Brave31. Now, Samoa Joe, by default, overwrites Build a Mod. So you can leave him as that and you don't have to do anything. Or you can switch him up to match him up to DashShot88's selection screen images, edit him to overwrite Retro Randy Orton, and then he'll replace Retro Randy Orton in the selection screen when you select him. Up next, Jeff Hardy, also by BraveBird31. Now, Jeff Hardy has... Here's where some little tiny issues come in with replacing guys. Jeff Hardy replaces Retro Alberto Del Rio. Now, the problem with that is that Retro ADR is kind of tied to Roberto Rodriguez, so it's a bit difficult to get them split up. Also, you should note that when you're hex editing name values for the selection screen and for entrance screens, when you're hex editing over a retro guy, there's certain screens that can't be changed because they're tied to both the retro character and the modern character. Up next, we have Finn Balor with 2 attires by GameElite and SMK. You have the Demon Finn Balor and you have the normal, ordinary Prince Devitt Finn Balor. He overwrites retro Chris Jericho, and again, something that you can't change no matter what you do with an overwrite character. The commentary will refer to him as Chris Jericho the entire match. In his entrance, he will be announced as Chris Jericho coming from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and there's nothing you can do about that. So, if that's something that bothers you, you're gonna want to get the X-Packer version. If that's something that you don't give a shit about, doesn't bother you at all, then you can go ahead and just replace it and learn hex editing. And lastly, for the models, we have Paige by Prinsto. Finally adds Paige to the game, the most important missing character, in my opinion. You know how frustrated I was with her not being included in the real release for the PC. Being as how she is my favorite WWE superstar, so now we have her thanks to Prinsto. And one other thing that's really awesome that Prinsto has done, he built Paige in Blender, which is a free 3D modeling program. He's taken the time to make an hour-long tutorial on how to create a character mod in Blender rather than X-Ray. Now, to talk about the actual paid mods themselves, and which ones are worth the money and which ones aren't worth the money, in my honest opinion. Now, to me, I think X-Packer is a must-have simply for the level of ease. I spent all day Saturday and a little bit of Sunday learning how to hex edit. It took me 20-25 minutes per character once I learned how to do it, just to rename each instance of the character, and there's multiple instances of renaming. And then I had to keep loading up the game, seeing what worked, seeing what didn't, because the hex table for character names is a freaking mess, and it's like 300 pages long. But with X-Packer, it's a minute-long process. You know, it just simplifies everything you need to do. Even if you're going to be overwriting guys instead of injecting them as DLC, still a lot easier in X-Packer. It just makes the modding experience much easier, and if you ever want to actually do any detailed modding yourself, you're going to need X-Packer. And you're going to need it in the future no matter what, because the amount of mods that are going to be coming out between now and however long people keep modding this game is going to exceed the number of retro characters that you can overwrite in the game. So you're going to need it to install these guys as community DLC anyway. So I tell you, it's a must-have purchase. You need to own it, but I'm going to tell you this, and Tekken will tell you the very same thing. His DRM is a single license, and it is tied to your hardware ID. So if you change anything in your computer that changes your hardware ID, you have to then go and buy a new copy of X-Packer. It's a one-time activation. You cannot activate it again. You cannot install it on multiple computers. So if you're somebody who's planning to upgrade your video card, your RAM, or anything in the near future, you're going to want to hold off on buying X-Packer until you have upgraded your PC, or you're going to end up having to buy another copy of it. Likewise, if you're somebody like me who plans to upgrade to Windows 10 when it fully rolls out in July after the beta's over, you're probably going to want to hold off until then, just on the outside chance that Windows 10 might change your hardware ID even though your hardware's the same. And he will tell you the same thing. Hold off on purchasing X-Packer if you have any questions, any concerns about your hardware ID changing in the near future. Wait until after Windows 10 comes out, then buy X-Packer, just simply for peace of mind. The next tool is Tekken's X-Ray. This is a tool for hardcore modders. If you aren't somebody who has an inclination to make 3D models for the game, there's no reason for you to own X-Ray. In 99% of the cases, it's probably way beyond your capabilities. It's way beyond mine. I will probably buy it because I have a fascination with messing around with it, and if I can make people, I will. I don't think I'll be able to, but I'll give it the college try. Again, same DRM, same thing goes. One-time activation. If you change your hardware ID, you're fucked. So, I would recommend, again, holding off until Windows 10. And lastly, I debated whether or not I should cover this at all. But, we're talking about paid mods, and that wouldn't be complete without me covering KG's 2K15 trainer. Everything that KG's $15 trainer. First of all, let me step back and address that $15 price tag. That is the same price or more than X-Packer and X-Ray. That is half the price of the console version of 2K15. With that said, let me step back and tell you why you never want to buy a trainer. First of all, there's a million of them for free on the internet that do at least half of what his trainer does. You can do most of what his trainer does for absolutely free with Cheat Engine using the cheat tables discovered by Posum. I will link you to it. You want to add NPC characters to your game? You can do that for free with Cheat Engine. You want to change match types? You want to switch the time limit of Iron Man matches? You want to throw a cage around the ring? You want to throw an elimination chamber around the ring? You want to switch battle royals to pinfall eliminations? You want to throw them inside an elimination chamber? You can do all that with Cheat Engine, with cheat tables, for the price of free. And also, it should be noted, this trainer comes with Draconian DRM. You get one license, one activation, you can use it on one computer, you can never install it again. Something goes wrong, you have to buy another copy of it. Which, the inclusion of such stringent DRM I find kind of ironic, given the fact that he openly admitted to initially pirating the game. You know, but that's neither here or there. The bigger issue is this worth $15? The answer is fuck no. But you should buy X-Packer. That is a tool worth the money. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'll be back with more mods in the future.